Today, I'll be sharing my personal story with you. Growing up as a little girl, I was just 1 year old when my mom got into a mental crisis and never recovered. So I grew up very stigmatized. I grew up never having a mother-daughter relationship. I grew up among my friends and other members of the community that shamed me because my mom had mental illness. I also observed my mom suffering through this illness, physically, mentally, eating off of the trash can, being sexually abused by men. Society just rejecting her because she has mental illness. Looking at her at that time, growing up, watching her, and being very helpless, my family not knowing what to do, the confusion, the commotion, the division to now start a foundation for people with mental illness. So I'm here today to share my story. I'm here today because I want to be able to create awareness about mental illness. Many communities believe that mental illness is linked to some karma, something that somebody has done wrong and is now getting punishment for it, or some related witchcraft, or some charm. There is really no openness to accept mental illness. And I want to be able to, through Agi and Pierre Foundation, bring this awareness that mental illness is like any other illness, like malaria, like typhoid, like any illness around us, and that people with mental illness deserve to be respected. They deserve for their dignity to be maintained. How have you recently treated someone that had mental illness? Did you feel that they were less of a human? Were you afraid to go close to them? Did you shame them and their family members? I want to be able to change the narrative. I want to be able to, for the community to understand and have another perspective about people with mental illness. They need our support. They need our help. They are hungry. They are off the streets. They are vulnerable, especially for the women. They have potentials. And if only we can provide food, shelter, protect them, provide treatment and medications, therapy, they will be able to reintegrate the community. So I'm here today to share my story and to ask the world to join me to fight the stigma.
I don't know about you, but there are certain stories and experiences in our families that change the entire trajectory of our lives. My guest on today's episode of Spotlight with Gwendy has been through a very unique situation. As early as the age of 1, her mother became mentally ill. She had to grow up as a young girl referred to as the daughter of the mad woman. I don't know what that makes you feel, but she has had to carry on with all of this baggage, being stigmatized, being pointed fingers at. Today, she lives in the United States. She is a nurse and is determined to change the story of others living a similar situation. Welcome to the show, Prudence.
Thank you. Thanks
How
for
are you?
having me, Gwendy. I'm excited to be here.
So every
Okay.
single time that we have a guest on the show, we do a pledge, okay? And that pledge is just you looking in the camera over there
Okay.
and just telling the world, why you're here and promising to do your best to share the best of you. So go ahead.
So I'm Prudencia. I am very excited to be on the spotlight with Gwendy, and I pledge to do my best to share my story to the fullest. I wish I had enough time. But I pledge to be the most vulnerable, because having to come here and share my story had to come with a lot of vulnerability. But just being transparent about my story, because I know it's going to inspire someone, it's going to help someone, and they deserve the right to be treated well, to be respected, to be treated with dignity, to be taken care of.
Oh, that was so good. I mean, just introducing you on the show had my heart heavy because I cannot imagine what you've had to go through all through your life. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank God for grace.
Why now?
Why now? I thought it was just time. Growing up, as you said, very stigmatized, growing up marginalized, growing up struggling without a mom, and just seeing her struggling with mental illness, eating off of the trash can, becoming very brutal, just suffering mentally, physically, was very traumatic for me. And, when I had the privilege to come here, I immigrated here through the lottery some years back, and I just saw how privileged I've been, and I saw how far God has brought me. So I was thinking about how can I give back, and the mental illness part of it, or anything related to mental illness is something that I really didn't want to talk about, because that's something that I was ashamed of.
Okay.
And one day I was talking to one of my mentors, and I was telling her, the insecurities, the trust issues, the lack of confidence in self is affecting me even as a small business owner.
Right.
And she was like, you should be very proud. You should be very proud that the
story.
daughter of that mad woman is able to do things for herself. She has a career.
Wow.
She can build houses. She's sponsoring her little ones in school. She sponsored even people that are not relatives.
Wow.
So you should be very proud, and you should come out and tell your story. And that was a groundbreaking moment for me. I was like, yes, I'm going to start this. And that's how I started.
Girl.
Yes.
Thank you for the courage that you had. Thank you for that mentor of yours. That mentor really opened your eyes. And I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur as well, I do have mentors. And they will always tell you every good mentor needs a mentor. Every good coach needs a coach. Every good director needs a director, because you learn from somebody, and you still need that shoulder to lean on. You still need to have somebody that you can confide in.
That's right.
So you told us that, off camera, that this whole started when you were only 1 year old. What can you remember of your childhood? Take us a little bit through that journey of yours.
Wow, my childhood. Talking about it is like reliving the whole part of it. And that's one of the things that I kind of shied away from sharing my story, because I felt like I'm reliving the trauma, but I thought it was time to come out and talk about it. So my childhood, 1 year old, again, I had to be told the story, right? Because at 1 year old, what do you really know?
What do you know?
So at 1 year old, the story that I've been told is my mom just went into a mental crisis.
Wow.
Just behaving funny, talking to people that don't exist, becoming violent, and all of that. So my dad, as a young man, now had to become the mom and the dad. And my family was very devastated. My mom was this tall, beautiful young girl growing up, and a lot of people attributed it to like charm. People attributed it to many, many, many other things. But I just remember struggling through my childhood. So my dad, again, as a young man, had to become the mom and the dad. So he kept my sister and I for a few years, and eventually got himself a wife. Men are not that patient.
Mm-hmm.
So
all men are not that patient.
After about 5 years, I had a stepmom, and I just remember just struggling through having to live in the house, having to deal with a stepmom, having to, hear that my mom has been taken from one soothsayer to another. It was a lot of accusations in my family about the maternal side saying the paternal side has done something to their daughter, and the paternal side thinking, oh, I have to do all of these things to prove myself that I didn't do anything. That drained my dad financially a lot.
Wow.
So he was a teacher, but he struggled with finances because he had to now take care of us and take care of all of these doctors, traditional doctors that are claiming that they can heal mental illness and, charging this exorbitant amount that, you have to pay. And I didn't see any change. So I just remember having to go stay with aunts, having to go stay with family friends. I remember even part of my childhood, I have to steal food from the table because you cook and do everything, but because you're just not the child of the house, you have to wait for other people to eat and do everything, and then you come last to get a feel of it. But one thing that I always stood out and people will tell you is, yes, I was the daughter of that mad woman, but I was a very smart little girl. And with my small stature and everything, people will be like, oh, don't you know the little yellow girl of that mad woman that is very smart? So I knew that I had to change the narrative in my family.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to take my studies very seriously. I knew that I had to be focused because I didn't like where my family was. I didn't like what was happening to my mom. But as a little girl, what could I really do? Yeah. I was helpless, and I knew that education, staying focused, is what is going to change the story. So when I eventually moved here some years back, I decided to make her go to Yaoundé, where there's Jamo, because apparently in Cameroon, Jamo is the only center that takes care of the mentally ill.
Right.
So she traveled to Yaoundé, and of course she had to go to Centre Pasteur for people that know Yaoundé to go do blood work. Right? It's not just mental illness; they have to kind of do your blood work and see where you are medically and all of that. And we discovered that
before you get into that.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're just joining us, thank you so much for stopping by. This is Spotlight with Gwendy. On this show, we talk to people, personalities, and professionals from all over the world who have stories that are touching, that are impactful, hopefully to inspire you to go after your dreams fiercely because you got it and it's right inside of you. You just need to give wings to those dreams. We're going to come to what happened to your mom. I want us to go through that backstory first before we come to all of that.
Okay.
The juicy part about
I can go on and on about this whole story because it's a whole life story.
It's a whole life story. So I want to understand.
We need about a week to talk about it.
I know. I want to understand the dynamics. Were there times when you missed your mom, where you wish that you had a relationship with her? And, was she ever around? Did she ever come to her senses, or was she just completely blocked out?
I don't think that she remembered me. I know that when I was about 2 years old, she stole me. So my dad
stole you?
Yes. My dad took us to the village for holidays, and she decided to connive with somebody to come steal me.
Oh my God.
And my dad was scared to death what she's gonna do to me.
Oh my God.
I think that was the only time that she remembered, but I don't think we were around. I don't remember a mom hug. So for me today, being a mom is a privilege.
Oh.
I don't remember a mom hug. I don't remember. We were just afraid because she was violent.
Yeah.
She was in her own world. She was just suffering. We were helpless. Again, she had to be moving from one traditional doctor to another. So she wasn't really home. Plus, my dad had another wife. So, and all of that. So she really did not have a place like that. But I don't remember. I don't have any mother-daughter memories of anything. Except the traumatic experience of just seeing her suffering on the street, people mocking at her or abusing her or taking advantage of her.
And so as a woman who was mentally unstable, where did she live? Did she live with you at home in your family house? Where was she before ever going to Jamo, where you sent her after you moved to the US? So that's many years after, but while you grew up, was she at home with you guys?
She wasn't at home. Again, as I explained, I was 1 year old, and when she started, she had to move from one traditional doctor to another, right? And
so she spent that
time.
And
all these traditional doctors or people who claim that they can treat mental illness, they keep them there.
Okay.
So you can be there for like a year or 2 years or 5 years. And then eventually from one traditional doctor to another, spending all that time and things not working out and then moving her to another location. We were born in Consamba. So initially she would come like once in a while, but she was violent. So my dad was scared of just leaving us with her and things like that. And one day she disappeared. She visited us in Consamba and just disappeared. Wow. We don't know how she found herself back in the village, but she disappeared.
She probably walked back there.
We don't know. I don't know if some good Samaritan just helped her, but we were scared, and then we just heard that, they found her in the village. Yeah. So she wasn't really home. She was home once in a while, but again, she had to be moving from one place to another looking for hope, for treatment in all these traditional doctors. And food.
She had to feed, she had to find a place to stay. Yeah. I mean, not really knowing what she was doing. So I'm guessing she was also looking for a suitable place to stay and all that.
Right. And she was very industrious too. Okay. So even in the mental illness, she will move from one market to another, trying to buy like okra and fish.
And she had money for that?
I don't know how she got money, but she found a way to be busy.
To have business.
Yeah.
And so was there any incident like while you were growing up with your mom, maybe of people treating her bad or treating you guys bad that really hurt you so much?
Yeah.
You wish it didn't happen, or that you wish that people would stop doing?
People need to stop, because people with mental illness are normal people. Mental illness is just like malaria or typhoid. I remember being with my friends. As I said, growing up, I was very smart. So I was that kind of child that in school, they have to call me for like 3-4 prizes before they call somebody else. And it felt very intimidating to my friends. And sometimes they'll be like, "You're not going to go anywhere. You're the daughter of a mad woman. You might end up being mad as her because they say it runs in the family." And I kind of believe all of those lies, those lies from the enemy. And I just thought, whoa, I might become like this. This is scary. So I had to kind of untell myself those stories that this is not true. That's their opinion. It doesn't really matter and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. So were people always kind to your mom, like people who knew that, she had been in this difficult situation, especially people that she would just go and take their stuff without permission?
Not really. I think there were a few people that were kind, but as you know, society is mixed up, right? So I remember one incident that I was told that, again, since she was industrial, she would move from one village to another, trying to go sell her okra or something like that. So she was traveling from my village to another village, and she saw this nice okra farm, and she probably thought, "Oh, this is good okra to go sell."
Farm.
Exactly. So I guess something told her in her head that that's her farm. So she went harvesting. And the owner came and got her well beaten.
Oh my word.
Well beaten.
Didn't know she was unstable?
They've always seen her. They know that
so why did they beat a mad woman who was helpless?
They just thought she was a thief or something. Plus there's no justice, right? Who dare talks to them?
Right.
The daughters are there. They are nothing. They cannot really help,
And so did anybody do anything about that? Or it was just...
Nothing. That was it. Who really cares? That's how bad it is, how they're treating people with mental illness. They just neglected. Nobody really cares.
And so after moving to the United States, you had it in your heart to see those things change.
Yes.
You wanted that not only for your mom, who had been through that for so many years. You finally sent her to a center for people with mental illness for treatment. And you said that before they could admit her, they had to run some blood work on her and all that. Is that like the normal routine, or was it because she was sick at the time she got there? Do you know?
No, usually with JAMO treatments, they'll just try to do an overall blood work to make sure where they are, because it's not just mental illness, right? They have also physical things that are going on with them, and you want to also make sure that, you're aware of the diagnosis and what's going on physically.
Okay, and so when they did the diagnosis, what did they say? Did they find something that could have pointed to why she was mentally unstable?
Right. So I think when they did the head scan, they found some manic depression.
Okay.
I think that's what it eventually was. But one of the devastating things that happened is that we discovered at that time that she was HIV positive.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So while she's been on the street, while she's been
People have been
struggling,
taking advantage of
people
her.
were taking advantage of her. And you'll be surprised, normal people, people that the community knows, people that nobody dares talk to them, just unjustly, preying on these people with mental illness.
And
It needs to change.
So while they took advantage of her, did she have any kids on the street?
Exactly. So for privacy reason, and also because, some of my siblings haven't, have gone through, I don't know their level of, being able to embrace the trauma and all of that.
Yeah.
So for their privacy, I'll really not get into in depth of that. But yes, while on the street, I have little ones that were fathered by other people, normal people.
Okay. This is so emotional, and this is the reason why we do this show, to tell stories. Some of them, stories that you've heard before. Some, very unusual, like this one. And the truth is that if you take into consideration this story, you realize that she's not the only one. There are occurrences like this. There are other families like this who have mental illness running in their family. But the question is, how are you taking care of it? Do you equate it to witchcraft or other things? Do you seek medical attention? You need to think about it and find out what is the best thing to do concerning that situation. So Prudence, how did the news of your mom being HIV positive, how did you guys take it as a family?
It was devastating for me. It was devastating for me because we now had to deal with my mom with mental illness and not being able to comprehend everything that is going on, and now having to have her on antiretrovirals that she might not even be compliant. It was tough. It was tough.
So was she following the treatment? Because I'm trying to understand, because she was already unstable.
Yeah.
And not even being able to stay in one place or even follow treatment. Mm-hmm. Now, added to that, she had to be taking these drugs every day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How was that organized?
It was tough because there are some days she said she's not taking it. And then she eventually passed in 2017.
Sorry.
So.
And so from there, your fire was built.
Yes.
You told yourself you wanted to make a difference.
Yes.
For others.
Yes.
To fight for your mom who had gone through that, and you guys didn't know what to do, how to help her.
Yes.
So tell us about your organization and what exactly you do.
Yay, I'm very excited. So I took the courage to start off.
Smile because she just brought back the sunshine, because I was getting down into
Yes, I know sometimes our pains, but out of every pain, birth purpose.
Yes.
So we're going to take our pain, but we're going to make purpose out of it. So I decided to start a foundation called Agi and Pierre. Okay. So why Agi and Pierre? My mom was Agnes and my dad was Peter, but he was mostly called Pierre because we grew up in a Francophone area. So in the name, I chose it because I just wanted to represent this young woman having her little daughter in her 1 year old, unable to take care of the child, and now being exposed to the world, to a community that will not protect her, but rather abuse, neglect, and take advantage of her. And now I also thought about my dad. This was a young man, married, hoping to have a wife that is supportive. They probably had dreams.
That would be there for eternity. That's what marriage is all about.
And then, he's now stuck with being economically bankrupt, having to, maybe get into a second marriage that wasn't his plan, having to take care of daughters, always having to protect us from other people. It was tough for him. And my dad passed in 2014. So 3 years before. So, now I'm my parents are not here. I'm going to give back to unknown people. I'm going to give back to the less privileged. I'm going to give back to the neglected of the community. And I just want to be able to bring this awareness. People need to stop maltreating people with mental illness. They are normal people and they have potentials.
And they deserve to be treated.
Yeah, they deserve to be treated rightly. I'm excited.
Tell us about some of the things that your organization is doing to make the world a better place, for those people and for others who might be going through this situation?
Yeah, so we started this organization. It's for Cameroon, but I started in the village because that's the most place that my mom lived her whole life, so I wanted to be able to start at home. So currently we have 26 people that we've identified.
In the same village?
In the village, yes.
Something should be done.
Yes, 26 people. Wow. So we have them, we've done a head count, we're talking to a psychiatrist now to start diagnosis. Okay. We're working on a center.
Okay.
So we're working on clothing, we're working on shelter, we're working on food. So we have a lot of plans by the grace of God. So
that's amazing.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but so how were you able to identify these people?
Right.
To know that they had mental illness.
They are off on the streets. It's obvious, right? People see them acting. So these are the obvious mental illness. Right. We haven't even gone to people that are depressed and wanting to kill themselves and all of that. Those are the obvious schizophrenic kind of manic kind of mental illness where they're talking to people that don't exist or they don't want to shower or they're acting weird. So society or the community knows that something is wrong with them. So that's how we're able to identify them. But I can bet you there are more. If we have to put mental illness, like it's too broad. But now we are focusing on people that cannot take care of themselves. The schizophrenic that are in their own world, the manic people, those are the people that we're taking care of. And we have 26 that we started to work with. And I can't wait to spread it around Cameroon and even beyond because something needs to change about our awareness about mental illness, how we treat people with mental illness. They need some dignity because they deserve.
And even their families need dignity.
Yeah, they are humans.
Yeah, stop pointing fingers. And I know a lot of times people are even afraid to say that they're depressed.
Yes.
Because in their mind, they'll be like, if I just mention it, they would call me names.
Yes.
They would say, I have this.
They'll place a label on you in a minute. Yeah.
Has that stopped you from having normal relationships with people? I don't know. Are you married?
I do. I have 4 beautiful boys.
Oh my God.
I'm a boy mom. Yes.
Yeah, a boy mama.
Yes.
For
real.
I am. So how was it easy for you to mingle? Allow yourself to be loved and to love back?
Receiving love is something that I struggle with.
Okay.
Because growing up, I had to be guarded.
Right.
I always felt that somebody wanted to do something to me.
Right.
Because my mom was in that state and I saw how they treated her and how I just thought a lot of people knew we were vulnerable. So I had my guards up all the time. And that has made it hard for me because even when I have trusted relationship, it has to take long for me to believe in what they're saying.
Right.
And it also affected a lot of my self-esteem. So you can tell me I'm beautiful. I'm thinking about it. You're just saying yes.
There's something behind
so being able to have that self-affirmation that I'm good enough, I'm beautiful, I'm enough, and things like that. It's something that I'm now learning to do. But yes, I struggle with insecurities.
I think that you're working it really good. Like, look at the energy you have. Like, you literally light up this room even more. Like, just hearing your story, I can already feel the power. And I know that people watching at home who have a family member or know somebody that's going through this, they will feel empowered. And that's the reason why we do this show. So we can talk to more people like you who have similar stories, who have experiences that can hopefully inspire somebody. The most beautiful experience that you've had since you took up this journey to help, to bring hope to others who are in this situation?
Yeah, I was first of all amazed at the numbers.
Okay.
And just having family members being, expressing, this family member, they were on medication, but we could not afford it.
Oh.
How much is afforded? Maybe 30,000 a month, 50,000 a month. So for me, it was life-changing. And one of the ladies that when my mom used to roam the streets, she was also there.
Oh, wow.
This has been years. She is still on the street and we identified her. I was very excited about that because I'm like, my mom is gone, but I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of.
That is so amazing. And I just love the way you talk about it. So how can people get to you if they want to partner with you, work with your organization, or just be helped by your organization?
So if you're touched by this story, if you are also passionate about taking care of people with mental illness, you can always reach me on WhatsApp 301-836 8850, or you can send me an SMS and let me know that you're interested, and we can talk more about how you can help.
Do you have like a page, Facebook, website, something?
So I'm very conservative, but this organization is going to bring me out of my box. So we are working on that behind the scenes. We should have that soon.
All right, so enough of all the serious stuff. What makes you happy? 5 things that light you so up.
5 things. That's a lot of things. I'm
Let's go with 3. Any number. What things light you up apart from the foundation, which I know you're very passionate about?
So I like to help people. I'm a nurse, and out of being a nurse on the weekends, I run a party rental business.
Okay.
So I think I take care of people. I will see the actual event and something is going wrong, and I'll get up to go do it. I don't care if I know you or not. I just hate to see people struggle when I can help.
Right.
I like to listen to my adopted dad, Pastor T.D. Jakes.
Oh, okay.
And even my son sometimes be like, oh, mommy, should we put your daddy?
Oh.
You know, I love Pastor T.D. Jakes. He inspires me a lot. And I also listen to a lot of singing. And I've been to a few concerts, so.
So are you going to sing for us today as we wrap up? I would love that.
As we wrap up?
Yes.
Wow, what song? Okay, let me think. I'm no longer a slave to sin. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to shame. The shame is gone. I am a child of God.
Oh.
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
Oh.
I am a child of God.
Clap for me. Thank you so much for really bringing in your light into the studio today. Thank you for accepting to share your story. Hopefully somebody at home got inspired. Hopefully somebody is ready to change their attitude towards people with mental illness. Together we can make a change. And remember, you can be the change you seek. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Spotlight with Gwendy, where we talk to people with real stories, so that we can inspire, empower you, uplift, impact your life in any way. If you love the show, go ahead and give us a like on our Facebook, Gwendy Media TV. Follow us on Instagram as well, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel so that the show can continue going. Thank you so much, Prudence. You've been a joy to talk to.
Thank you, Gwendy.
Have a wonderful rest of your time.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your platform. And keep going, sis.
Yes. See you guys next week, same time, same channel.